the balance between your personal and your professional life, it can be difficult, especially when you really want to focus on your career. Mimi Darmstadter is a career transition coach, and she's the owner of My Life's Work. It's a coaching and consulting company in Bethesda. Good to see you, Mimi.
Hi, thanks for
And you know, this is such a hard topic for so many people, especially, you know, you think about young couples with young families and children, and they're trying to juggle two careers and the kids at home and all these activities, and I mean, the stress level just probably goes out the roof.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, juggle's one word that I think of, but I like to think about it as a real integration. How you bring together your personal and your professional goals so that you can sort of feel complete in all aspects of your life. Juggling feels very tactical to me, but integrating feels really intentional about, you know, how do I want to play and how do I want to work and how am I going to bring those two things together?
And it also sort of implies that you're in control of it. Like you're orchestrating it.
It does.
As opposed to just responding to the stimuli.
You know, that's a really good point. I think that people who really think through the decisions and choices they can make at work and at home are going to feel much more in control of their situation.
Are you noticing from your clients this kind of thing, this stress level, and not just with young families, but just pretty much across the board?
I think the attention to career has certainly grown in the last few years, and we were facing changes economically, you know, ups and downs. We see more and more women in professional roles. I think the statistic now is 51% of women of professional roles are women held. People are switching jobs. I think the average now is every 4.6 years, not like our parents who are in the same job for 40 years. So career means a lot more and means different things than it did a long time ago. And there's so much sort of getting our attention personally as well. So that combination, I think, is really hitting families, not just women, not just men, but families.
Yeah.
And you know, the devices. I mean, think about the Blackberries and the Twitters and the blogging and all that stuff coming at you. How can you even separate yourself from it?
You have to go on vacation and just unplug.
Well, yeah, and even then, you know, some people can't.
And I hear that some people cannot be away from their personal devices for, you know, a matter of minutes before they're sort of having withdrawal.
Right.
I mean, they keep it on their nightstand before, you know, they're always attached.
Yeah. A friend of mine told me that the best vacation to go on now is a cruise, because they literally make you turn everything off or pay, you know,
exorbitant
amount a minute. So
if you really want to unplug
really
and get unstressed.
Right.
So let's talk about organization.
Okay.
Does this sort of feeling out of control in your life, is that because we're not as organized as maybe we could be?
You know, I'm going to answer your question in sort of a strange way. I don't think we're as organized in our thinking and our planning, not just in the day-to-day tactical stuff. Again, I think if you step back and you really think with intentionality about what I want my life and work to look like, that's the kind of organization we're talking about. Sort of at a macro level rather than the to-do list. Because the to-do lists come and go, and then there's a doctor's appointment or a flat tire or a snow day, and everything's out of control again, and the lists don't do any good. It's really thinking, as I said, on a much broader level about what we want our life and work to look like.
And that may be somewhat comforting for people to hear, because when you think of the grand scheme of my life, it's sort of easier to kind of envision where you'll be as opposed to all the little day-to-day kinds of activities that have to get done to get there.
Certainly it makes you feel like you're on some kind of path. And one thing I like to tell my clients is that the vision doesn't have to be 40 years from now. It can be a vision for the next few years, the next 5 years, the next 10 years. I know certainly with me, what my life is going to look like in 5 years is much different than what it looks like now, because the kids are going to be going to college in 5 years. And I will have a different sort of vision of what my work and life can look like.
And then 5 years down the road from that, hopefully they'll be in jobs and up and out, and you will be an empty nester.
They have people like me helping them, right? They won't be moving back in, right? That's true.
Women in the workforce, you touched on this a minute ago. Are the demands on women, I mean, are women feeling more stressed than men at this point? Or is it equal, but just different kinds of stresses?
You know, it's interesting you ask that. Certainly there has been a ton of social commentary on this issue. And Anne-Marie Slaughter's article this past summer, Sheryl Sandberg and her book, Lean In. I don't know whether that's in reaction to pressure that women are feeling, or actually there's more pressure as a result of those pieces? I think that it is, it's in the headlines. And I think the impact of it being on the headlines is that people are thinking a lot more about, should I be working harder? Should I be working less? What about the kids? What role does my partner play in all this? Whether there's more pressure, I'm not sure. I think there's a lot more attention. And by default, that attention causes people to start thinking and realizing that there's something in the air here that we have to start thinking about even more, with even more intentionality.
And how about the men out there? What are they saying right now?
I think the men want the same things. I think they want, at least the men that I work with, they want to be successful at work, but they want to be successful at home too. One thing I see with my clients is that if you're high achieving at work, you're going to be high achieving at home, and there's no putting a stop on that. And I think it doesn't matter whether your gender is female or male. That if that's in your DNA, you're going to want to be successful in all aspects of your life.
So we've just got a few seconds. Can you give us a couple of strategies that we can kind of work on to be a little more organized and balanced?
Yeah, we talk about vision, and I mentioned that already. I think partners separately and together can do some exercises on career values and really think through what are the values that we hold individually and that we hold for our family. Another thing, and there are tons of exercises you can do to get the answers to that question. I think also we're not real good at making requests and making offers of ourselves, of the people that we live with, and of our organizations, actually.
A lot to think about there. Mimi Darmstadter, she's a certified associate coach, and her company is called My Life's Work in Bethesda. Thanks so much for joining us today.
It's lovely being here.
Lots to think about there.